Yo guys, what is going on? It's Luki here and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be giving you guys the best AUG class for Warzone. Now this weapon is a bit different than your typical weapon, but I'm going to get straight into this. So first up, you want a 622mm long barrel. This is going to increase like the accuracy, range, etc. So I do recommend you guys sticking that on. Next up is going to be the integral 3x optic sight. Now this is just the one I've been using. It does make the mobility a bit low, so if you guys want to, you can stick on something else. But this sight on the AUG is this is the only weapon that actually has this sight, so it is actually pretty good. Now this build specifically is actually based off the STG-77 in real life. So that is why I put the sight on and all of these attachments on. So that's the stock. Next up, you want the 5.56 NATO 60-round drums. Now this is the most important attachment because it makes the damage and the range a lot higher. As you can see from the stats there, the damage and the range is a lot higher. Next up, you want the Merc foregrip on. Now if you guys want to, because the mobility is a bit lower, you can go ahead and stick on maybe a commando foregrip or a tactical foregrip and maybe swap out something else, maybe put a different sight on or whatever you guys want to. Also, I know a lot of people like to use monolithic suppressor, so if you really want to, you can stick a monolithic suppressor as well and swap it out with maybe a foregrip or something. It is completely up to you. You can go ahead and mess around with it. If you're going to swap any attachment with something, I do recommend you guys swapping out the stock with maybe a monolithic suppressor. So if you do want to get a monolithic suppressor on, because I know a monolithic suppressor is really helpful because it takes you off the minimap whenever you do shoot, the one attachment I recommend you guys taking off is going to be the stock, and then replace the stock with a suppressor. So you can do that if you guys want to, and also if you want to increase the mobility speed, you can take the stock off and then maybe put a stipple grip tape on, or maybe stick a laser on or something like that. It is completely up to you. You guys are going to want to kind of mess around with this a little bit because the AUG is a pretty kind of a weird weapon. Like it's an SMG, but it's really powerful and it's just really good. So I do recommend you guys giving it a go. It is one of the most underrated weapons, to be fair. As you can see from the stats down below, like in the bottom left, as you can see, the range and the damage on this weapon are really high. Now like I said, you should stick a monolithic suppressor on this weapon if you guys really want to. Monolithic suppressor is really important in Warzone, so if you guys want to, this is the class up I would use if you want the monolithic suppressor. If not, then use the other one that I recommended. So this weapon, as I said before, the range and the damage on this weapon is where the range, damage and accuracy, as you can see in the bottom left, that is where this weapon truly shines, and it's got insanely good range and insanely good accuracy, and the damage on this for an SMG is really high. Now the one drawback to this weapon, and the biggest drawback and like the biggest disadvantage I would say, is going to be the mobility. Now if you guys watch, once I get the loadout drop, I will start using the AUG, and it's a pretty slow weapon. It does aim down sight really slowly, and that is going to be your biggest disadvantage. So if you guys want to, or if you guys are struggling, like I said, I recommend you guys sticking on like a stipple grip tape, maybe swapping the sight out with something else, sticking on a different stock maybe just to increase the ADS speed, because the ADS speed on this weapon is going to be really slow, and it is an SMG, so like at those close gunfights you can get outgunned by let's say for example if someone had like an MP7, then they might just outbeat you, but this weapon is really powerful. So in a lot of gunfights it can be a lot stronger than a lot of weapons. So let's say you got into a gunfight with an MP7, this can still outcompete with the MP7 and like the Grau 5.56 etc, because the damage on this weapon is really high. And also, like I said before, the range on this weapon and the accuracy is two of its biggest like statistics and two of its biggest like pros. Like the range and accuracy are just really good. You can kill people really far with this weapon, and I do recommend you guys sticking on those attachments. Now like I said, this weapon is actually based off of the STG-77. I got this off of someone else's video. I saw him make a conversion on it, so I'm going to give a shout out to him quickly. His channel is called Buff Nerd Gaming. He basically covers a bunch of different weapon conversions in the game, so I do recommend you guys subscribing to him. I'll put a link down below in the description, so I really recommend you guys checking him out because he does do a lot of these weapon conversions, and this is where I actually got the class up from. So I watched this video and I thought, you know what, this weapon seems really good, and it is really powerful, so I do really recommend you guys giving it a go. Now if you are going to use this weapon, I do recommend you guys maybe sticking on or trying to find like an MP7 or something just as your secondary, but then again, I know everyone loves snipers, so I'm not sure if you're going to be better off just having a sniper or if you're just going to be better off having an MP7 as your secondary. It is completely up to you. Now talking about secondaries, this takes me on to the perks that you guys should be using in Warzone. So I recommend you guys not using overkill anymore because it is pointless, because if you guys don't know, in the season 3 update they have added a bunch of new weapons on the floor, so I really don't recommend you guys using overkill anymore. Overkill, ever since the updates 1.19, it's completely useless now, because if you guys don't know, on the floor you can literally find, I think there's 3 different sniper variants you can actually find, and all of these sniper variants are really good. So really, like, there's just no need at all to use overkill anymore. It is completely irrelevant. It's one of the worst perks you could actually go ahead, and it's one of the biggest mistakes you can possibly make on Warzone. So I strongly advise you guys to stop using overkill, and I cannot stress that enough, because I see so many class ups on my like YouTube recommended and stuff, and a lot of those people tell people to use overkill, but in reality you have to stop using it. I can't stress this enough. I do mention this in most of my videos just so more and more people start to get aware of this, because overkill is honestly one of the most useless perks you can use, especially like I said before, the update 1.19, the season 3 update. You can now find really good variants all over the floor, so honestly stop using overkill, and instead of using overkill, go ahead and stick on perk. For example, this guy right here, he doesn't have ghost on, and I go ahead and kill him because I know exactly where he is. Most people on Warzone all have heartbeat sensors, just like this little clip here. As you can see, I have a heartbeat sensor on, and I know that this guy is exactly where he is, so I can easily get a free kill on him. So this is the #1 reason why you need to use Ghost. If you don't have Ghost on, you're instantly gonna have this happen to you. So as you guys can see, I saw him on a heartbeat sensor, I walked up behind him, I activated my dead silence just so he didn't hear me, and then I got the easy kill on him. As you guys can see, he had no idea I was coming up behind him, he couldn't hear me as well because I activated my dead silence there, and that is the #1 reason why you need Ghost on, because if you don't have Ghost, that is going to happen to you every single time. Now I just want to quickly mention the perk High Alert. High Alert on this game has actually just got a recent update in the season 3 update, so this was something that hasn't actually been talked about yet, and it wasn't actually in the patch notes for some reason. I'm not sure why they do this. They don't really include everything in the patch notes, which is kind of stupid. They always do this every single update. There's always hidden things that they don't mention in the patch updates, and one of those things was a buff in High Alert. So with High Alert, basically what it does when someone looks at you, your screen is going to highlight. So if they are looking at you from behind, the bottom of your screen is going to highlight bright orange. If they're looking from you at the left or to your right, then obviously wherever they're looking from you, that side of the screen is going to ping really bright orange. And this perk's actually pretty good, so I do actually recommend you guys maybe giving High Alert a go. Now it is in the perk 2 category, so if you are using High Alert, then unfortunately you're not going to be able to use Ghost. And as I just spent probably like 2 minutes mentioning that why Ghost is one of the most important perks in the game, High Alert has recently had a buff, so I do actually recommend you guys at least giving it a go. Now I only recommend you guys giving it a go on squads. I don't exactly recommend it on solos, but you can of course go ahead and try it on solos if you want to, but I just think for solos, Ghost is going to be the most like necessary and like helpful perk, because a lot of people do use heartbeat sensors in solos a lot more often than in squads. But if you are playing squads or trios, I recommend you guys having 3 of your teammates using Ghost and then at least 1 person using High Alert. And this is just going to help you just in case, let's say for example, there's a team behind you, sneaking up behind you, and you have no idea that they're there. And if they do sneak up behind you, if 1 person on the squad has High Alert on, you're going to know if there's people sneaking up behind you. So I do really recommend you guys going ahead and just giving this a go. It will be really helpful, so give High Alert a go if you guys want to. Now that's basically been it for today's video, so thank you guys all so much for watching. If you guys want me to cover a class setup on any specific weapon, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. I will go ahead and cover a class setup on every single weapon. I'm trying to cover a class setup on every single possible weapon. I've done quite a lot of them so far, but if you guys really want me to, then I actually will make a video on the best class setup for every single weapon. But yeah, that's been it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
We're in the safe zone. Watch for enemies.